How you doing, folks? It's Nick here again, and Santi has been very good to me this Christmas. He's got me a number of gaiters from eBay seller Top Gaiters. I'll put the link to his eBay shop in the doobly-doo, and it basically creates leather replacements for various items in the car. So here we have, this is for the top of the handbrake here. This guy is for the center console, which is just here, and is supposedly a right nightmare to get off and to affix. You need to use special glue with this called Uhu, which I have here. I managed to get in the hardware shop for about €3. We also have this guy, which is for the gear knob gaiter, and then this last guy, which is for just here on the handbrake. I'm not too sure how to fit that one myself, so it feels as if it just pops off fairly easily, but I'm not too sure. We'll figure all this out as we go on. So I think the first thing we'll need to do, because the glove box is the hardest to do, so I'm going to do that one first. We'll split this up into multiple videos, and I will install the glove box one first, particularly because it's supposedly such a nightmare and it also requires some drying time. So to do this, you need to open up the glove box, and you'll see there are screws. Screw here, 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 and here. And we will obviously need to remove these. I hope you have your ashtrays ready, because you know how much I love putting my screws in ashtrays. Except my ashtray is currently full of coins, so I'm not going to put it in the ashtray. I know I broke my own word. I'll put it into the central cubby here. A little cup holder. Yet again, filming with one hand is quite difficult. If I had been clever, I would have asked Santi for some sort of mount so I could strap the camera to my head. And because the drying time involved with the glue, although the glue says it should be fairly quick, I might end up gluing it in my house. So you get to see where I live. You're inside my house. This really is tricky to get out, so I am going to have to pause the video to use both my hands. Back in a bit. So that was actually relatively straightforward. I just lifted the driver's seat forward, tilted it forward, and went in from behind here, behind the driver's seat, and it just pops off. It's fairly straightforward. So I think what I'll do is just try to line it up first to get a feel for how the leather feels and how tight it has to get around the actual center console itself, and then start gluing. So I need to figure this out. I'm not going to record while I'm doing this, because otherwise you'll just hear me curse considerably. So, back in a bit. How you doing, folks? So while I'm waiting for other bits and bobs to dry, what I'm going to do is start working next on this, which is the center console. So the Uhu needs, oh good lord, that's dirty, needs a clean, like any glue, needs a clean, dry surface. So we'll start by cleaning the center console, down the sides particularly, and get all this gunk off. There's quite a bit of just normal everyday grease and grime that you accumulate. You wouldn't think, whilst it looks clean. We can see a different story here on the pad. Now, fitting this gaiter is difficult when you have these in the way. So without putting any glue on, I'll show you what I mean. So we have a keyhole up the top. We try to move it down. Try to get it down. There's a relatively straightforward method of doing it. Just pull it over until it's over the hole. But see, this guy is constantly getting in the way. Now it's not too bad up here because you could hold it in. You're going to have to glue in stages first off, so you can hold him in. But even when he keeps bouncing back, he's going to be quite annoying. And I don't know if you can see it down here. You have all these lumpy bumpies from this constantly coming up. So I'll show you a trick, which is take the gaiter off, and then on the inside there's a few retaining clips here, and we'll literally unscrew this. So hopefully you can see that. So go in, and removal tool, see if we can see the clip, and I can. Right there, pop it out. Another one. Put it over here somewhere. Feels like it's here. Popped out. Put the guy down here somewhere. There we go. Oh, I literally stabbed the last one. There. So take them all out, and these are held in with 4 more screws. So they're just standard cross heads, Phillips heads. So Phillips head screwdriver. Put him up the top, so I know he's the top one. Top being, well, I'll call from now on top where the keyhole is. Now, and this will be far easier to use. You could also possibly, actually I will, going to remove the keyhole as well, if it will pop out easily. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to leave it in. But it feels like, yeah, it feels like it just pops out straight easy, because I don't want, obviously don't want glue going into the keyhole. So get my Sif wipe or Dettol or any brand of cleaning wipe. I find to be these ones to be fairly good. Give it another clean. And because there's chemicals in this, I'm going to let this dry for a while, probably about an hour. Just because I want a nice clean surface that I can adhere the Yoo-hoo on in stages. And it'll stick and hopefully won't cause any lumpy bumpies or bubbling or any of that nonsense. And the whole point of doing the gluing in stages is that you can help alleviate the bumps. So that's nice and clean. Leave it for an hour, or half an hour, however long you think is required. Probably about 15 minutes, somewhere between 15 minutes and an hour. I'm going off to have my dinner, so after I have my dinner is when I'm going to start on this properly. So I'll let it dry for a bit, and then we will continue on with the next section, which will be physically gluing the gaiter on top of the armrest cover. So some time has passed and I've applied some Uhu right here on the actual gaiter itself, and now comes the moment of truth, where I'm going to gingerly attempt to stick a nice part of it down. As I said, this will happen in stages. I want to make sure I don't get too many lumps. The Yoo-hoo itself is quite a lumpy glue, so I think I'm shagged either way, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's work here. de-icing scraper comes in handy. Push the glue down. But I have a feeling I might just end up with bumps anyway. Not that I overly mind, provided that everything lines up correctly in the end. So now I'm just going to tighten it up a small bit more and then let this glue dry for probably about 15 minutes. I'm back in a sec. So a few minutes have passed and now I'm going to stick a bit more of the Gaiter using the Yoo-hoo. I will start with the inside first. Probably the best way of doing it. Now Yoo-hoo is quite a, so you have both found out, it is quite a gloopy glue. So hopefully not going to overdo it this time. And we need a thin bead down this side to hold it into the sides. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's do the entire thing. I'm impatient now. Although I will probably live to regret my impatience, particularly involving this. It's actually not too bad. Apart from this part down here. Overall, that's not too bad. Let the glue set, squish it down a bit, which will help get rid of those bumps. Now this is still a bit bumpy, but it's not too bad. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to fold this over. It looks as if you are. But will this fit back on? If you do, that's the question. It would also help if I put it on the right way around. I suppose provided I can find the clips, that's all that really matters. I think I will wait until all this dries, and then we'll figure out, well, the main part of it dries, and then we'll figure out if we should glue these inner parts in or not. So, see you in about 10-15 minutes. Okay, so the glue is dried. Well, it's nearly dry, so I'm going to put the fittings back on. So we have this bed. Which would actually be good if I was able to screw them on properly. Unfortunately, the light isn't super fantastic, so it does get a bit hard to see things. I think what I'm going to do is fold the leather over. Seems to be the easiest way. Might have to make an incision, cut into the leather to allow the little trim clips to pop back to hold the top firmly in place. Assuming this is how you'd have to install the glove box gaiter. If someone else has a better idea, please let me know. Although I don't think I'm going to be changing this for quite some time, as it is fairly nightmarish to install. Particularly just the sheer amount of glue that we need. And how fiddly it is. Fittings back on. It's still bumpy. You know what? I don't care. It's going to add character. Look. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. There we go. And then just fold this down. I'm not going to bother gluing them down. I'm just going to fold them down. Clipped in. It's not overly secure, but it clips in. So that's not too bad for about 15 minutes to half an hour's worth of work. Oh, I can't really complain too much about that now. So I'm just going to continue to let it dry. Hopefully I can try to push these bumps out because the glue is still somewhat malleable, pliable. So I still think overall it's not too bad. There is the bit of the lumpy bumpies, but I'm not overly worried about them. I think it looks fairly nice. That'd be a nice addition to the car along with the glove box. Not the glove box, I keep saying glove box, the gear knob gaiter, the gear lever gaiter as well. Which shouldn't be too bad. So the next step will be to reinstall this back in the car. I'll do that tomorrow morning. when it's a bit of light out, and then that should be it for this video. So I will see you in a bit. So some time has passed and the glue has dried on the center console. Unfortunately, as I'm sure you can see, there's some white spotting of where the glue went through. This is not super fantastic, but I did use a considerable amount of the glue itself. It does look better than it did before. The red stitching is quite nice, also matches the gear knob Gaiter from my previous video. So now it is simply a matter to install it, which is relatively straightforward. They're just screws there and there that go in there and there in the center console. Now this one on the left hand side does involve having to move the seat forward, so I'm not going to bother showing you that. Actually, I'm just not going to bother showing you screwing it in because it is really straightforward. So I'm just after re-screwing it back in. Again, relatively straightforward, 4 screws, and that's it, job done. I'm not overly happy, as I've mentioned before, with this mod, mainly because of the over glueness and the difficulty in actually getting the Gaiter on. It does add, it is quite nice, along with the gear knob Gaiter, gear shift Gaiter, and the handbrake, although I haven't installed the other handbrake Gaiter because I'm not 100% sure how to do that without removing the center console entirely. So I think just for now this will suffice. The quality of the leather is quite good, can't fault top Gaiters for that. It is just how difficult it is to install. It is quite a nightmare. I wouldn't really want to do it again, although at least now I have some experience and you have some experience of what to do, best practices when installing the center console Gaiter. So until next time, see you around.